NLC that we spoke about earlier when we started the show, Aliu. I mean, what is the NLC doing about the minimum wage situation, the wage situation in this country? It is their responsibility to represent the plight of labor workers, people that work in the country, and you have failed to do that, in as much as they are always coming to say, oh, the government is doing this, the government is doing that. But now, with the one too many meetings, it's starting to look like an excuse. They are bringing up excuses over and over again. You have the responsibility, NLC, to represent the interests of the people, of the labor. And at this point, we don't know whose interest it is you are representing with so many meetings. That what are you doing? You should be able to do this. If you cannot, then allow another group of people to go get it done. Because, like it or not, with the current reality in the country, we cannot continue to survive on the minimum wage that is right now. It's no longer obtainable. It's no longer obtainable. People can barely eat. I traveled over the weekend and I saw hardship. I saw more hardship than I thought I was seeing. You know, when you're within Abuja, you think that, you know, there's a lot of hardship. Then you go to the smaller states and then you start to see hardship in ways that you have not even imagined.
People are suffering really in this country.
Exactly.
We hard. People are passing through difficult times in this country now, and most of the chunk of the blame would definitely go to the government. And unfortunately, one thing that I do wonder, and I keep saying, is that can the government be able to come up with a policy that is gonna have a commensurate impact the subsidy removal is having? Would they be able to?
At this point, I doubt that they have the capacity to, and if they do, then they should prove Nigerians wrong. I mean, it's simple. You're not making anybody feel as though you are actually doing anything per the situation. Anyway, to round up this story, now the gas terminal owners do not have a visible association, but spokespersons for Navgas, Friday Agu, and NIPCO PLC's Aske Kumar blamed the hike on Forex and the international market, which we, of course, suspected that they would. Now, I'm going to quote them. It says, "No one is selling as 1,200 naira per kg. I have not heard such high price yet." That's what Kuma told Punch via telephone conversation on Sunday. However, he declined to respond when asked how much the landing cost was. And I think, I mean, that would have been very nice if he had gone ahead to respond to that question, so that we would be sure that what he's saying is the truth. I mean, if you can tell us how much landing gas is, then we would be able to calculate to know whether or not we are being overcharged or not. Anyway, Friday blamed the price on Forex and the rise in price of crude oil at the international market. According to a WhatsApp message, he said, responding to one of the correspondents of the Punch, he said, flat price increase and Forex challenges, and LPG responding to crude price increase at the international market. That's what he said is responsible for the change. But I would say this, like we always say, if at all this is not true and people are taking advantage of the situation right now to further increase the hardship of Nigerians, I think that this is absolutely wrong, and I don't think that anybody has to tell anybody that it is wrong. I feel they know that it is wrong. They're just going ahead to do it irrespective, because Nigeria does not have Nigeria doesn't hold anybody accountable for anything. Apparently, we don't hold anybody. There's no accountability and there's no transparency in any of the sectors in the country at the moment, and that's why we would keep having issues like this rising on a daily. More stories, Aliu.
All right, let's take a look at this one that says marketers eye fresh fuel hike as crude hits $94 per barrel. The rise in the cost of crude oil, coupled with the depreciation of the naira against the United States dollar, might lead to a hike in the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol. Oil marketers stated on Sunday. Again, this is the second time they are raising this concern. It was also gathered that the sharp rise in crude oil price to about $94 per barrel and the crisis around Forex had warranted a gradual increase in the amount being quietly spent as subsidy on petrol by the federal government. Dealers in the downstream oil sector explained that the cost of crude oil and the exchange rate of the dollar accounted for over 80% of the costs of PMS. Brent crude, the global benchmark for oil, rose to $94 per barrel on Sunday, the highest figure in 2023. Oil had started the year at about $82 per barrel, dipped to $70 per barrel in June, but traded above $92 per barrel in the past week. Also, the Punch reported on Thursday that the naira weakened to 950 naira to the dollar as forex scarcity worsened. The report stated that the naira fell further against the dollar the preceding day, that is on Wednesday, after closing at 950 naira to the dollar at the parallel market. Bureau de Change operators told the Punch that the naira, which earlier closed at 930 naira to the dollar at the close of operations on Tuesday, was bought and sold at 935 naira to the dollar and 950 naira to the dollar on Wednesday. Although the federal government and its Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited had insisted that subsidy on petrol had ended following the deregulation of the downstream oil sector, operators insisted on Sunday that the government was implementing quasi-subsidy. They explained that the latest rise in crude oil, the cost of petrol, was meant to increase, stressing that if the government insists on leaving the commodity at 617 naira per litre, then subsidy on PMS had been returned quietly, that is behind closed door. We've been talking about this.
We've been saying this for weeks.
A lot of times on this platform. The marketers explained that in July, when the cost of petrol was raised to 617 naira per litre, crude oil traded around $82 per barrel, while the exchange rate was not as high as 950 naira to the dollar at the parallel market. The Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners corroborated the concerns of marketers as it stated that the price cap on petrol had made it tough for marketers to comply with the demand of NATO with respect to increasing the cost of transportation for petrol. The Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL, in one of his statements, had pointed out that as long as the dollar continues to rise, Nigerians should not expect petroleum product prices to be pegged. The cost of crude oil is also on the rise, and its impact on petrol price because PMS is derived from crude. So in this price deregulation regime, once the dollar increases, automatically it means that the cost of importing petroleum products will also increase, and the cost of every other related service will rise. The National Public Relations Officer, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chief Chinedu Kadike, stated, and he added that so the fuel we are buying today at 617 naira per litre or 596 depending on where you buy it and based on the nearness to depot is actually below what the price should really be, going by the rise in the dollar and the crude oil price. Ukadiki stated that though the rise in crude oil price would increase Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings, the forex was being used to import refined products. You know, Chumwe, basically this issue is one that we've talked about in the past, but Absolutely. Why is it resurfacing today is the question. What we try to understand now is the fact that NNPC had given us assurances in the past that there is no any plan of increase in the pump price of petrol in Nigeria. It still remains 617 naira, and all other market dynamics now have increased. They have gone up. So what is happening that the price of petrol
has
is
not gone
going up? We are not saying
Absolutely.
we want it to go up, but if really we want to look at the reality on ground, if you talk about market forces being the determinant factor of price regulation or price regime, then why is it not going up? Does that mean subsidy is being paid behind closed door? Because a lot of analysts are saying that subsidy regime is back behind closed doors.
And that is just going to mean one thing to the Nigerian people. The government is incapable of rolling out the 100% removal of fuel subsidy policy. Absolutely. We had faith in the government of the day to be able to roll out this policy and create measures that would mitigate the hardship that comes. And that was what Nigerians were looking forward to. If we were going back to pay, even better, that the government pays subsidy and it is official and we understand that fuel subsidy is being paid, as opposed to having them paying behind closed doors, because then now there is money that cannot be accounted for that will be leaving government the government accounts and government coffers, it will not be accounted for.
Was there ever anything like accountability in the oil sector,
which is bringing in any sector? I will dare you to mention just one sector in Nigeria where there is accountability to the level that there should be. We have a failing nation here, and nobody is sitting up to do it.
I'm going to give you the answer, but I'm going to search.
Good luck.
Ask Google.
I wish you the best.
But the thing is that I don't want to believe my guts. with regard to this story, because I know fully well the last time this similar story came up, the NNPC came out to debunk the rumor that they are not planning to increase the pump price of petrol. But now that this news is still coming back, I don't want to believe my God.
In the global
it's
market.
like
No,
NNPC would now come out and say, based on this and that, we might be increasing the price.
See, it's simple. Market
That
forces.
is, but I don't want to believe my
market forces determine the price of fuel now. PMS, right?
But if it happens